Hey, nature photographers. It's Lee Hoy, your generally friendly OM system and Photo Pro ambassador, coming to you from home in Fort Davis. I leave in a couple of days for Florida, so I'm home here shortly. I have been asked a lot the last, few weeks, month about my workflow for post processing. And since I've been working on my post processing mentorship program, I thought it'd be a great idea to reiterate how I go about post processing in terms of my overall workflow. This isn't a post processing tutorial or anything like that, just simply going to go over my workflow for wildlife, landscape, macro, night sky photography. And hopefully that will help you understand the different steps I take for any image or selection of images. I hope y'all are doing well. I've got some workshops coming up. My website is being rebuilt. It might be launched by the time you see this video on, I think, about August 10th or so. So stay tuned. Let's learn about workflow. Hello, my name is Lee Hoy, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Lee Hoy Photography. I'm an OM System Ambassador, Senior Workshop Instructor for Wildside Nature Tours. I'm a workshop instructor for precision camera and video, and a contributing author for the Journal of Wildlife Photography. Okay, when it comes to my post-processing workflow, I don't always do it the exact same way. Not the answer you're probably looking for right off the bat. However, I do have processes based on how many images I have taken. So normally for wildlife, where I'm shooting at 50 frames per second, I actually used SH1 Pro Capture in the Galapagos for the iguanas, expelling the excess salt, the marine iguanas, doing that. So when I'm capturing lots of images, wildlife photography, macro without flash, okay, I have one workflow. For landscape, night sky, macro with a flash, if I are street photography where I'm not capturing a lot of images, I have another workflow. So let's first talk about what do I do when I come in with a card and say I have, 800 or more images. Normally on a wildlife outing in the Galapagos, in Ecuador, Brazil for jaguars, Africa, India, I'm normally coming back with quite a few thousand images. Okay, I think my most so far in a single day was over 17,000 at a wolf bison hunt in Yellowstone. That was one day. Okay, but it's not uncommon for me to come back with between 5,000 to 7,000 images in a morning or an afternoon if it's super productive, especially for birds in flight, Faroe Islands with puffins, where I'm doing an advanced mastering birds in flight workshop in 2026 with Tamarron Ambassador Elise Bender. So what do I do when I come back with a memory card or memory cards with a lot of images? Step number one, I import my images directly into Photomechanic Plus. You probably don't need the Plus version. Photomechanic Normal would be fine. But Photomechanic handles RAW files much faster, much cleaner than any other post-processing software out there. Now, some people like to just drag and drop their images directly on their hard drive. I do not like doing that because there are several things I do in my first step. So for wildlife, macro without flash, I am going to import directly into Photomechanic Plus. In that importation, I'm going to rename my files and I'm going to add metadata information like my name, my address, my copyright, any sort of information that I want added to every image is going to be done at that stage, okay? I never recommend using file names directly as they come from your camera. There's no information provided in there that's very useful. B, I hate typing into a camera. It's so much easier to do it regardless of what software you're importing into. Now the thing is, if you're just dragging and dropping files from a memory card to your hard drive, you're not doing that. So I never just drag and drop directly from a drive, from a memory card to my drive. So again, I'm importing into Photomechanic. They call it ingesting, but in essence, it's the same thing. So step one again, import into Photomechanic Plus. Think of step A under step one, rename my image files, apply metadata. Naming conventions I like to use have something to do with the location. If it's an AM or a PM shoot, which import number this is, because oftentimes I have more than one memory card coming in, so import 1, import 2, import 3 for morning, and I redo that in the afternoon. And then I apply a sequence number that will begin at 000001 in the morning and be numbered sequentially through the morning shoot. Then in the afternoon shoot, I will start back over with 0001. So the PM in the file name and the import number will help delineate that from other files that may have the same number. Okay? That's how I rename my files. You can come up with whatever convention works for you. Now, once those images have ingested or during ingesting into Photomechanic, I will put one pointer finger on the 1 and one pointer finger on the 5. I use a numerical rating for culling, and I can go through images very fast in Photomechanic. Here are what my numerical numbers represent. Number 1 is a delete, not keep. The number 2 is an image I absolutely want to edit. You will most likely see that image at some place, somewhere. A 3 is an image that I'm going to keep for educational purposes, maybe to illustrate some concept. So it's not necessarily a good image. It can be where something went wrong, where something happened, that I want to keep that file for potential educational purposes. A 4 is an image that is part of a sequence, a panoramic sequence, a focus bracketing sequence, auto exposure bracketing sequence, HDR sequence, whatever it is. 4 lets me know that that is an image in part of a sequence. So I might go 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. If I say I did a focus stack of a bug and it's 15 images, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Those are the ones to keep. If there's focus stacked images that I don't want to keep, that will get a 1. A 5 is an image that I'm going to keep. I may or may not necessarily edit it. You may not see it, but I am going to keep it. So 1, delete. 2, absolutely edit. So it's the best of the best. 3, keep for educational purposes. 4, part of a sequence. 5, a keeper. That's how I do my rating in Photomechanic. I then delete all the ones, okay, when I'm finished for a morning outing. So I will import all of my images off all of my cards for that outing. So if I go out in the morning, I import all the images, then I cull them. I then delete all the ones from that outing. I then change the rating from a 5 to a 0 for the 5 images. Boom, they become a 0. So now, before I import into Lightroom from Photomechanic, I have 0s, which are keepers, 2s, which are absolute edits, the 3s, educational purposes, and 4 sequences. That's just how I operate. Now, I'm going to import from Photomechanic Plus directly into Lightroom, okay? And I do an add. So when I ingest into Photomechanic, I put the images where I want them. It may be an external drive, maybe my internal drive, wherever I want them. I put them in their final place, because adding into Lightroom is much faster than copy or move. So I can add thousands of images to Lightroom very quickly. Now, when I'm importing from Photomechanic to Lightroom, I apply a preset that prepares every file for potentially going into DxO PureRaw. I remove the default sharpening and noise reduction in Lightroom. I remove lens corrections applied in Lightroom, and I make sure that my color profile is set to muted. For you, if you shot Nikon, that might be neutral. I don't want any profile applied in DxO PureRaw. So I have a preset that gets applied to every single image coming in. So they're all ready to go into DxO PureRaw. Okay. I'm only going to take the images that I absolutely decide to edit in a DxO PureRaw because it's calculation intensive. So every image though that gets imported into Lightroom is now ready for DxO PureRaw. So all my images are in Lightroom in a folder based on that outing. So my folder structure in Lightroom is going to be 2025 Galapagos Islands. Then the folder under that would be day 1, hummingbirds at Zoma. We went to Zoma Lace. I can't remember the name of the place. But then day 2 folder would be Santa Cruz Island in the Galapagos when we go to the Galapagos ranch for tortoises and birds. You know, day 3, Genovesa Island. Then within that, AM and then PM outings, and I'll delineate that. Okay, so that's my Lightroom folder structure. Then whatever images I decide to edit, I'm going to right click and do an export to DxO PureRaw. Then that image comes back into Lightroom and it will be edited. Now sometimes I edit those images in DxO Photolab, but I will edit in DxO Photolab kind of like a plugin for Lightroom. So don't worry about that distinction right now. Okay, so that's the workflow for large number of images for wildlife or macro without flash. Let's talk about landscape, macro with flash, or night sky where I might have, you know, generally under 100 images or 200, 300 at most, right? Something like that. I'm then going to import directly into Lightroom, okay? Because it's so few images, I'm not worried about the speed of culling. And then I'm going to import them into Lightroom. I'm going to apply renaming and my metadata information then in Lightroom. When I import from Photomechanic to Lightroom, I don't apply that. I don't rename the files. I don't apply the metadata, okay? So I'm going to apply that on import, and I'm going to import it directly to the final destination where I want it, an external drive normally. Usually one of my crucial 4 terabyte drives. That's my preferred. You can find that down in my affiliate links down below. Now, as I cull in Lightroom, I don't use 1 for delete, I X, because that's marking a file for deletion. So I have X, I'll apply a 2, I will apply a 3, I will apply a 4, but I don't worry with the 5 because an unrated image is a keeper. Okay? But again, 2 in Lightroom is an absolute edit, 3 is a keep for educational purposes, 4 is part of a sequence, and then unrated is a keeper. So that's for landscape, macro, and when I import directly into Lightroom, I apply the DxO preset. So that gets applied to every image coming into Lightroom so that it's ready to go out to DxO PureRaw. So that is a simple outline of my workflow. Now, say I'm going to take an image. If I'm going to do an HDR image, I'm going to edit that with Nik Collection's HDR Effects Pro. A black and white conversion, I'm only using Nik Collection Silver Effects Pro. I sometimes might go into color effects, you know, a couple of the other modules in Nik Collection, but those are the 2 I use the most. A panoramic is going to get stitched normally in Lightroom. It handles most panoramics really well for stitching. For focus bracketing, I'm going to take those images into Helicon. Now I go into DxO PureRaw first to prepare my images for those software packages. So that is my overall workflow. If you really want to learn the in-depth approach for post-processing, my OM System Only Mentorship Program Part 3, if you shoot another camera system, you can partake of my post-processing mentorship program because it's some aspects of it will be OM, but in general, it will be useful for any camera system. So take a look at my website for that. Hopefully my new website has been released. My new website was built by Spruced Studios. Keith Wallach, a former OM System employee, works with his wife at Spruced Studios. They did a phenomenal job. I'll be based on a Shopify platform instead of WordPress. Should be a much better website. Hey guys, thank you for being a part of my online family. I know I'm way behind on the comments. I am so overloaded with work and other things right now. I'm doing my best to get caught up. I appreciate your support. Go out, capture some visually compelling images, and then post process them well. We'll talk to you later.